During a recent visit to Australia, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney made a comment that quickly caught the attention of reporters and analysts. When asked about his approach to dealing with U.S. President Donald Trump, Carney responded that the relationship should be built on respect, but not obsequiousness. The word obsequious means showing excessive deference, flattery, or submission toward someone in power. In other words, Carney was signaling that Canada should not approach the United States from a position of weakness or excessive politeness. On the surface, the comment sounds strong, suggesting a leader willing to stand firm and defend Canada's interests. But the statement raises a deeper question. Is Canada actually in a position to take that stance? Carney's remarks came during a broader trip through the Indo-Pacific, including India and Australia, where he is attempting to build stronger partnerships among what he calls middle powers. The goal is to diversify trade relationships and reduce Canada's dependence on the United States. This strategy reflects a larger geopolitical shift. Carney has repeatedly argued that the traditional global order is breaking down, and that countries like Canada need to cooperate more closely to avoid being pressured by dominant powers. In theory, diversifying trade and alliances makes sense. Canada relies heavily on the United States for exports, investment, and industrial supply chains, especially in sectors such as energy, manufacturing, and autos. But theory and reality are not always the same. When leaders say they will not be obsequious, what they are really saying is that they believe they have leverage. The problem is that leverage comes from economic strength, domestic production, and strategic resources. Canada's economy remains deeply integrated with the United States. Supply chains, particularly in the auto sector, cross the border multiple times before a product is even finished. Energy exports, manufacturing inputs, and defense cooperation all tie the two countries together in ways that cannot easily be replaced. If Canada wants to negotiate from a position of strength, it would require significant domestic investment, more infrastructure, more resource development, stronger industrial capacity, and expanded energy production. Without those foundations, diplomatic language about standing firm risks sounding stronger than the underlying reality. That is the debate now emerging. Carney is widely respected as a global financial figure, having served as governor of both the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. But running a country involves more than financial expertise. It requires balancing diplomacy, domestic economic policy, and geopolitical realities. Critics argue that Canada's bargaining power has weakened in recent years because of slow development of major projects, regulatory hurdles, and delays in building critical infrastructure. If those criticisms are correct, then statements about not being obsequious may ring hollow unless they are backed by concrete domestic policy. Foreign policy ultimately reflects economic strength at home. Countries negotiate effectively when they produce, build, and export the things the world needs. If Canada wants to stand confidently beside larger powers, without excessive deference, it must first strengthen its own economic position. Because in international politics, respect is rarely granted simply through words. It is earned through capability. And Carney, while jet-setting around the world for the past year, has not delivered, approved, or begun one major domestic project, such as building a pipeline, advancing LNG projects, or expanding shipping capacity. That would at least demonstrate some economic strength. Instead, all this talk risks appearing like more of the same weakness. We have included his recent speech and the CBC article where he admits that he's having more difficulty dealing with the big bad red man in the United States, Donald Trump. Maybe Mark Carney is not up to the task as he once suggested he was with his campaign slogan, "Elbows up."